sure you can see that.
Looks great.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Andy King. I have been wrangling emails since 2007. I'm a Kiwi, but I live in the Bay Area in the US. I have a wife, 2 boys, 2 cats, and a dog. In no time, I primarily work with B2C companies on their email design, their content, and their strategy, and I run a website called Email Love. Email Love is an email design and content inspiration resource. It features over 1,000 hand-picked emails, and I write about each email, giving you an overview of why it's featured and what I like about it. You can easily view how the email looks on mobile. You can see it with images turned on or off, and you can even inspect the code if you do want to have a look under the hood. So I've curated most of the emails myself, but I do love it when we receive community submissions. So please do send your favorite emails to hello@emaillove.com if you have an email that you would like to see featured. I also send a weekly newsletter called Curated Inspiration. It goes to around 3,000 email marketers, designers, and coders. And today I'm going to share with you how and why I've invested in something called an evergreen newsletter strategy. Okay. So let's briefly chat about the problems with sending a weekly or a regular newsletter. So firstly, newsletters, they're time consuming to produce. And for most senders, you only get one shot at deploying them. So you could easily spend hours crafting your newsletter. And once you've hit that send button, that's it. It's gone, and you've got to do it all over again next week. Secondly, when you commit to sending a newsletter on a regular basis, it puts a lot of pressure on you to deliver in that time frame. You can't say on your website that you're going to send your newsletter every week and then only send it once per month. You need to set that expectation, and then you need to stick to it if you want to keep your subscribers' trust. And I know Naomi has cleverly avoided this stress by setting the expectation that she sends the slowest and most infrequent emails, but many of us don't have that luxury, unfortunately. For me, email is a big driver of traffic to Email Love, and I've committed to sending weekly. So I need to deal with that pressure and that commitment that I've made to my subscribers. And then lastly, sometimes it's just not possible to meet that commitment. It's really hard to stay consistent. As I mentioned, I've got 2 little boys that are very time consuming, and if I can't get a newsletter out because I'm spending time with them or I have other commitments, then I'm not going to be able to hit that send button, and that's not a great experience for my loyal subscribers. And so I wanted to introduce you to a concept called the evergreen newsletter. I think Jane Portman from a company called Userlist actually explained this really well in one of my Email Peeps interviews. So I asked Jane what her favorite email hack was, and she said, an evergreen newsletter is one of my favorite concepts. It's a super long email campaign that drips out your best content every 2 to 4 weeks on autopilot. It can be as long as 1 to 2 years worth of content, and such setups help marketers get off the hamster wheel of broadcasting. And that is exactly what I've implemented at Email Love. And so when you join the Email Love mailing list, you're basically added to a really long welcome journey. Each email has a 7-day time delay, and that's about it. It's a pretty simple setup. There's currently around 30 emails in the journey that go out every week. And there are around, as I mentioned, 3,000 subscribers that are currently in that journey. The average open rate is around 45% with a 7.4% click-through rate, and that's similar to what I was getting previously when I was sending the campaigns manually every week. Now, the benefits of this evergreen newsletter are that it saves me time, and yes, there is still time to be spent upfront to create the content. There's definitely a time investment there, but I don't have that stress and that anxiety of needing to build a newsletter every single week. Instead, I can create the content once every 2 to 3 weeks, and my subscribers, they don't know the difference. To them, they're still receiving an email every week. Secondly, the evergreen newsletter keeps my subscribers engaged and coming back to emaillove.com on a regular basis. Realistically, my schedule doesn't allow for me to send and build a campaign manually every week. And so this is just a really great way of keeping my list engaged without having to do that manual work every single week. And then lastly, my evergreen newsletter exposes my new subscribers to some of my best content that they probably haven't seen before. So this is helpful. It's interesting for subscribers, and it creates awareness of what's available on Email Love. Okay, and this tactic can work for almost any vertical, any size of company, from e-commerce to SaaS to publishing to travel to B2B. Really, anyone with valuable evergreen content could and probably should be using this tactic to keep their subscribers engaged. Here's an example. I created several evergreen newsletters for an e-commerce brand called Med Massager. They sell therapeutic massages for home. Now, Med Massager, before they were just sending sales emails. And so I took a look at their blog. They actually had a ton of useful and interesting content for potential and existing customers. And so I repurposed that content and created several newsletters that get sent after a subscriber finishes their welcome journey. And those emails actually perform really well in terms of engagement metrics. It looks like we're sending newsletters, and the best part is Med Massager actually still generates revenue from those emails as well. And the funny thing is that most brands that I've seen, they actually already have evergreen content and even produce evergreen emails. But those emails are often sent as one-shot campaigns to existing subscribers. And so you could actually extend the life of these emails significantly by setting them up as automated emails so that new subscribers can also enjoy that content. And if you're struggling for ideas, I have a few examples that I've pulled from Email Love. And I'm not affiliated with any of these brands, and some of these emails may already be set up as automations, but I believe most were sent as one-off campaigns. Okay, so here's a great example from CocoKind. This is a how-to guide email that helps their customers and subscribers use and get the most out of their products. Again, there's really nothing in this email that isn't evergreen. This email, would make sense for existing subscribers, but it could also be really useful and interesting for new subscribers that haven't joined their list yet. Another example would be expert Q&As. So this is a great way of generating interesting and engaging content for your subscribers. And the Sil sent me this example with common questions on how not to kill your houseplants. And for me, that's as a houseplant murderer, that's very useful content and interesting for someone like myself, and probably like most of their subscribers. Nude is an at-home laser hair removal product, and so their main competitor is the traditional razor. And so I really like the creative and the copy of this email. It gives a comparison, and it shows how Nude's products are differentiated against the standard incumbent product that you're probably using today. I also really like behind the scenes emails. So this could be excellent evergreen content. Your subscribers and customers, they signed up to your emails for a reason. They really like what you do, they like your brand, and they're interested in your company and your products. And behind the scenes content like this example from Fisker Automotive, it gives your fans some insider knowledge and a look into how the sausage is made, and these typically perform very well. But again, there's no content in here that isn't going to be relevant for new subscribers. So this could easily be set up as an automated email. Curated content can also work really well. This could be a curated selection of guides, like this example from Going, or it could be curated products or curated services that you want to feature or highlight within your emails. And if your product is slightly new or different in some way, you may have subscribers that are hesitant to buy. And so an automated email that handles those objections up front can make excellent evergreen content. And this example from Rootless addresses why you should try their seaweed-based food products. And I think this email does a great job of explaining to subscribers what those benefits are and why they should give that product a try. And then last example here, team interviews are an excellent way of generating some of this new and evergreen content. This could be as simple as asking your colleagues what their favorite products are, or it could be an interview with the founder of your company. This content, it's usually interesting for subscribers, but it could also be set up as an automated email for new subscribers as well. Now, in my experience, most companies, they have some form of value-added evergreen content already. You just need to look for it. It could be on your blog, it could be a case study, an FAQ guide, a how-to document. My advice would be to look internally for some of this content before going out and producing a bunch of new content yourself. And then lastly, remember to look at your old email campaigns. I see many brands sending value-added content that could easily be resent to new subscribers as part of a welcome or an onboarding journey. And these emails are often sent once and then forgotten about. And I think there's huge potential to extend the life of these campaigns to new subscribers. Okay, so at this point, I've sold you on the idea of an evergreen newsletter, right? You're all going to go out and do this. Unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are a couple of potential issues that you need to be aware of if you decide to try this strategy. Now, this might depend on how advanced your email platform is, but for the platform that I'm using, the emails will go out at the same time and day that you sign up. So if you initially signed up at 10 p.m. on a Monday, you will continue to receive the newsletter every Monday at 10 p.m. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think if I had the option, I would ideally dictate what time the email gets sent. Another problem is ongoing maintenance of these emails. For example, some content may eventually need updating. I have ads in my email that need to be updated every so often, and changing the layout or the design of your emails becomes a lot harder when you're dealing with 30 live emails instead of a single newsletter. And then lastly, I do still send manual emails. So I do need to be aware of who is receiving an automated email and remember to exclude them from my manual sends. And to be honest, I have forgotten to do that in the past. So there are a few things that can go wrong with this strategy. But for me, none of these things are deal breakers. I think if you had a very complex or frequent send schedule, then you'll just need to figure out how an automated newsletter could fit into that existing schedule. Okay, so that's kind of on Why you should do this? Let's take a look at how we do it at Email Love. Okay, so as I mentioned, Email Love, it's an email inspiration website. And so the first step in my process actually begins in the inbox, where I handpick emails that I'd like to feature based on their design, the content, the subject line, accessibility, or any other interesting trait. I flag each email in Gmail. That gets picked up by a Zapier flow that automatically extracts the email HTML. It takes out the subject line, the images. It even takes a screenshot of the entire email, and then it uploads all of that content into Airtable. In Airtable, I write a description and outline of what makes each email special. And then another Zapier flow is kicked off, which uploads everything into a WordPress WordPress post, sorry. And then this is really where the magic happens. Once a post is published on Email Love, the content is automatically added to an RSS feed, and another Zapier workflow kicks off the process of posting the email designs to my social channels and adds the designs to my email template. And this is slightly unrelated, but I've been dabbling with AI by using ChatGPT to optimize the copy associated with each post for different social channels. And so far, it's done a good job of updating the copy without completely butchering it or making it sound weird or off-brand. And I'm not currently doing this for my newsletter, but there may be some interesting use cases here where I can automatically optimize the copy with AI for the newsletter as well. And as I mentioned, the content is posted to social, but it's also uploaded into my email template. And so I have a section in the template dedicated to email inspiration, and I typically post 3 featured emails per week. The image, the title, the description, the URL, that's all added automatically from the RSS feed, and this saves me a ton of time when it comes to building the newsletter. I then just need to write an intro for the newsletter, and sometimes this can be the most time-consuming part, as I need to make sure the content makes sense for existing subscribers and anyone who joins the list in the future. And then I remove any of the content that I don't want to feature. Like I said, all of the emails get added to my template via RSS, and so I have comments around each section, and so I can easily chuck this code into Parcel and delete the content that I don't want to feature. I then upload the HTML into my ESP and run some last tests to make sure it renders correctly. And then lastly, I add the email to the end of my welcome journey. So altogether, it probably takes me 45 minutes to an hour to create a new email, and most of that time is spent writing the intro or thinking of new evergreen content ideas. And since my newsletter is automated, I only need to create the email probably once every 3 to 4 weeks. And this gives me more breathing room, and it enables me to build more thoughtful emails at my own pace. And so just before we go to questions, the benefits of this are, firstly, I know this process that I've just shown you, it does have some complicated Zapier flows, but I want to make it clear that the Evergreen newsletter, it's relatively easy to set up. And most email platforms support the functionality to send an email as soon as someone joins your list. So there shouldn't be any technical reasons why you can't try this yourself. Secondly, you will no longer have that weekly send schedule hanging over your head. For me, this is one of the main reasons why I've implemented the strategy. I love being able to build and curate newsletters when it's convenient for me. And then lastly, it's likely that you already have access to some really great evergreen content that is either buried on your website or was sent as a one-time campaign to your existing subscribers. And so an automated newsletter could extend the life of that content, drive subscribers and customers back to your website, and it can do all that without you having to lift a finger on a weekly basis. Okay, that's all I've got. If you do want to sign up for my newsletter, please head over to emaillove.com, hit the subscribe link in the navigation, and you'll receive a fun and educational email from me every single week. So Naomi, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. The first question here is from Rachel. Since blog posts are dated generally, does it matter if an evergreen email links to a post that is 9 months to 12 months old, for example, or if the content is still valid, that date, it doesn't matter? What would you, I guess, recommend? Is there an end date? Yeah.
So for we do interviews with email people. I have an interview with you, Naomi. I think it's dated. It was last year, but you were featured in one of the emails that gets sent. And so I think if the content of the blog post and the content in general is evergreen and it's relevant and interesting for your subscribers, then I think that's fine. I think if it's old content, I don't think the subscriber is really going to care or really flag that with you. Maybe it'll happen every once in a while, but again, if I think it's relevant and engaging and useful, that's not a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I have a question here from Kathy. Do you have resources for creating newsletter emails via RSS feed without Zapier? I've never been able to nail down how to pronounce that name.
It'll depend on your email platform. Most email platforms, in my experience, have some form of RSS feature where you can plug in your RSS feed and it will ingest the content and let you pick and choose. I mean, even MailChimp has this feature, and I know even simple or the more basic platforms have it. So I would look at your ESP. You don't have to use Zapier. I use Zapier just because I'm creating a lot of content at scale, and I'm distributing that content not just in my email but across social channels, and so Zapier helps with that. But yeah, you can definitely do this directly with your email platform, depending on what that is.
Makes sense. We've got one here from Taz. I believe the answer to this is, how do you pull content into the email automatically to automatically create the email? That's done with an RSS feed. You're pulling content from your RSS feed.
Yeah, if you've seen my emails, there's a hero kind of intro section, which I do write manually, and then the email inspiration section where I feature emails from Email Love. Those are pulled in auto magically from an RSS. So like I mentioned, RSS feeds contain the image URL, the title, the description, and the URL to the landing page, and that just gets pulled into the template automatically. And like I said previously, depending on your email platform, most email platforms have that feature, and that, for me, that's a big time saver. I think RSS feeds are, in general, probably an underutilized resource for most email marketers.
Definitely, I'd agree. And then we have a question here from Yadira. The connection to a WordPress post is amazing. Does it create a new post based on the email?
You mean the Zapier connection to a WordPress post?
Potentially.
Yes, so I've used Zapier to have a it's very complex, as you may have noticed. I upload everything into Airtable. Airtable is amazing. I even upload all of the email HTML into Airtable, and then I basically use Zapier to, when I click a button in Airtable, it basically kicks off a zap, which uploads and creates a post automatically in WordPress. And so when I go into WordPress, I'll see the post there. It'll have the image, it'll have the email HTML, the subject line, everything is uploaded. Again, Zapier is really how I scale the content, and I'm able to add new emails and content to the website very quickly and easily because of that. And I'm happy to share I think you can share zaps from Zapier. I think there's like a share button. If anyone wants to see it, I'm happy to share the zap. There's nothing secret really about it.
I'm sure everyone would love that. What is your main segmentation strategy considering new subscribers? Do you not send any net new newsletters to those that are going through your evergreen newsletter welcome flow?
Yeah, that's something I need. That's something I briefly touched on, and to be honest, I need to improve it. Right now, I would just exclude people who are due to receive an email on that day. So I do send manual emails, as I mentioned, and my segmentation is just don't send to people that have already received an email today. I probably have the potential to improve that segmentation and to even improve the workflows that I have. So what I've been thinking about is how can I look at your behavior or your preferences and then automatically route you down different paths or different content types based on that data, or create segments based on that. But right now it's very basic. It's basically you join the list, you receive every email in that journey, and then if I have a manual email, I will try to remember to exclude you. But to be honest, I have room for improvement when it comes to that.
We all could use more time when it comes to.
This is a safe space, right? I'm not perfect.
This is a safe space. Yes, people here understand. This last question is actually from me. I saved the best for last, of course. I am curious about what the level of uplift, or like how many hours it originally took you to set up that Zapier workflow. I'm quite inspired myself. So yeah.
A lot of work up front. So I probably spent, a day. It's probably over 24 hours testing it. And if you've played with Zapier, it's very powerful, but you can get quite complex. And so I probably spent over 24 hours setting it up. And like I said, it's not just for email; it also powers like other parts of the site and other social channels. But now it saves me hours every week, I think. So initially it was probably over a day's worth of setup time, over 24 hours worth of setup time and testing, and even like tweaking things to try to get them just right. But I think it's worth it long term. And that's the same with the automated journey. Like for me, long term, it saves me a lot of time every week, even though there's that initial setup investment.
Definitely. Well, 24 hours is a good chunk of time, so I'll keep that in mind when I dive into it. We did have one more question pop up. Your thought on including the smiley emojis in a newsletter, asking users, I guess, how they feel about the newsletter. How useful was that to them? Do you see feedback from the smiley reactions frequently come through?
I have used them before. In my experience, I haven't received useful feedback from them personally. In fact, when I have received a not happy smiley face, I don't really know what that person's not happy about. Yeah. So I think it can work. Connect it to maybe a survey. I think a survey is probably better. I think you get better feedback from a survey because a frowny face, it tells you that they're unhappy, but it doesn't really tell you what they're unhappy about. So that's just my experience.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Well, thank you so much. I think I can speak for everyone that that was a really cool presentation, and we all probably are interested in going to sign up for a Zapier account.